Hello, everyone. My name is Kediagra Chabane, and today I will be making a video about an article I found on World Socialist website. You'll have to stare at my face if you don't like it. Too fucking bad, too sad. I've got my glass of milk here because white power, am I right? Nah. I'm joking, of course. I'm a fucking libertarian. Cuck that shit. But hey, such is life. I need to put on my glasses to see what I'm reading. Oh, sorry, did I do a Nazi hand sign? Whoa! I can't help it. Look, I'm white, okay? It's this fucking milk. Man, they must be putting shit in the milk. They're making me gay instead of the frogs. Anyway. So, I was on the internet, and, as I do, and I found an article called Trump Makes Fascistic Appeal in Impeachment Letter. And I thought, okay, well, this is gonna be interesting, and I like to read from all kinds of websites, I read from, right-wing websites, I read from libertarian websites, I read from left-wing websites, I sometimes look on the legacy media websites, just to see the stupid shit they put out, like the New York Times, or the Washington Post, or the Huffington Post, or all that kind of stupid bullshit, and then the more grassroots ones I look at, and then I read shit from the Daily Stormer, because it's fucking pretty funny. Anyway. And this was by Andre Damon, published on the 18th of December, 2019. So, I'm late to the fucking party, but hey, whatever, who gives a shit? So, in a move aimed at inciting his fascistic supporters, US President Donald Trump issued a belligerent 6-page letter Tuesday accusing Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of attempting a coup. In the letter, Trump charges the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives with violating your oaths of office and declares that you are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution and you are declaring open war on American democracy. The letter is, in other words, a threat of something Trump alluded to early on in the impeachment process: civil war. Now, I'm just gonna stop there. So, essentially, how is it not a coup? A coup, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, let's think about it. You talk to a lot of Democrats, right, and they've been rambling about, we need to abolish the electoral college, right, because Hillary Clinton won popular vote. Now, the point of the electoral college, keep in mind, is to stop the tyranny of majoritarianism. Now, the idea of having a representative democracy, not a direct democracy, is to ensure that the majority do not basically fuck over the minority. Because let's say, for example, you have a direct democracy, and let's say 55% of the population says, you know what, let's go and kill all the black people in our societies. Let's shoot all the niggers. Let's say that you have some racists. They say that. Okay. And the minority, the 45%, say we don't want that. Well, too bad, too sad, right? So the point of a representative democracy is to stop the abuse of power. And the US Constitution was written in a way and set up so that essentially the legislative arm of government, the House of Representatives, is prefaced on popular vote, so whoever gets the most votes wins the seat, right? And then you become a part of Congress. And then essentially the idea is of the president, like let's say I'm running for president, okay? And also this is unscripted. As you can tell, I've already dropped the N-word. Have I talked about cucks and ducks? Well, these are geese, but hey, you know, it must be this milk. It's the milk talking, it's not me. Let's say I'm running for president, alright. Let's say we abolish the electoral college. If I want to be elected, I'm going to campaign and make promises in large areas of land that have a lot of people in it. So I'm going to largely focus on campaigning in places like New York, right? I'm not going to care about campaigning in rural America because their votes, I mean, there's less people there, right? So I'm probably going to end up neglecting those individuals. Thereby, only senators and the legislative arm can only really represent them. Now, what the Electoral College does is it basically says, hey, because you aren't elected on popular vote, now you need to take into consideration small town America. So, at the end of the day, if I'm running for president, I can't just say, you know what, I'm going to provide all these welfare programs and this and that for these large cities, and I'll just not focus on these small towns, you know? It forces the candidates to take consideration. Maybe my policies will fuck over certain parts of America. Maybe I won't make certain tariffs because it will fuck over the manufacturing industry, or whatever industry in the Rust Belt. Yeah, I'm sure you get what I'm alluding to now. So essentially what it does is it stops the tyranny of the majority controlling the minority. Essentially, government is set up to not only represent the people, but it's also set up because, let's say, for example, there's propaganda, right? And I convince 51% of Americans that we need to go to war with a certain country, right? Those individuals can't decide, or we need to take away certain rights from certain individuals. It's going to be very hard for that 51% to actually take away the rights from whatever minority they're trying to take rights away from. Because, I mean, senators aren't there to represent the popular vote. It's only the legislative arm in regards, well, the Senate is a part of the legislative arm, but it functions differently than the House of Representatives. The role of the president, the reason why the president even has the role of the president is, like, if you want to be the president, you can't be a member of the legislative arm. You can't be in the Senate, you can't be in the House of Representatives, right? The Secretary of the State or any other position that the president appoints, they're not allowed to be in those positions, and they're not allowed to be in the judiciary. Because the idea of separation of power came about. In Australia, for example, the Prime Minister here, you can only be the Prime Minister if you're in the upper house, is it, or the lower house? I don't know, I need to scratch up on that. You can see I didn't plan this very well, but hey, fuck it, man. Whatever, such is life, you know? Life sometimes gives you migrants. And the best thing to do is to murder the place. Sorry, did I say something? It's this milk, I promise you. Or maybe I'm just a fascist. Also, this hasn't even addressed exactly, like, how is the move aimed at inciting fascistic support, by the way? Like, if I'm a fascist, alright, let's just... I mean, this is a ramble, so, you know. not very well thought out one. But hey, you're still here, so fuck it. If I'm a fascist, right? If you look at different fascist regimes, the Nazis or Mussolini's, right? Regimes. What do they have in common? They support state capitalist policies. State capitalism is leftism. State capitalism was first implemented by Vladimir Lenin in, 1921, I think it was, and it was instituted under the NEP, the New Economic Policy. So essentially, the fundamentals of state capitalism is that private firms are more so play a ceremonial role. The state essentially competes with small private firms, but they set a lot of the prices for the private firms. So it's almost essentially like state socialism, right? It's a very high control over the market, essentially. And if you look at Lenin, he allowed some small businesses to compete with the government, but largely the government had control over the means of the production. Whereas if you look at Nazi Germany, it's more of a ceremonial role. Okay, so if I'm a fascist, right, and then also keep in mind, fascism advocates for one unopposed leader, alright, why would I like Trump exactly? Because he's reducing taxes and regulations, first of all. So if my main premise, one of the main premises of fascism is giving the state more economic control, why would I want to support someone who wants to deregulate the economy? First of all. Second of all, one unopposed leader. There's the vice president. And you might say, well, the vice president doesn't really do much. So the role of the vice president is in case something happens to the main president. Okay, you can say that, but I mean, have you forgotten Dick Cheney? How have you forgotten his role in with Bush? He basically ran the White House, did he not? The left likes to say that. When it suits them. Anyway, and I'm a libertarian, keep in mind. My support for Trump is only soft support. And I've talked to other Trump supporters, and they're not really fascist. Also, keep in mind, he's appointing different people to different positions in the executive arm of government. So he's essentially granting power to all these random individuals in the executive branch of government. Shouldn't Trump be all those positions? If the idea of fascism is having one unopposed leader, shouldn't he be all the roles and not be appointing it to other individuals? Well, that would directly contradict the idea of one unopposed leader then, would it not? I mean, and being fucking democratically elected, I mean, his approval rating is at 45%, right? One unopposed leader. He doesn't even have a majority of support among the population. So how the fuck could it be fascistic then? Okay. Alright, okay. If I'm a fascist, I would have to be fucking high as shit to support Donald Trump. If I was a fascist, right, in the sense that I was talking about, would I not want to support the Democrats because they want to abolish, for example, the Electoral College, which is prefaced on popular vote, and if I want an unopposed leader, shouldn't a majority of the population dictate who the president should be? And wouldn't that be abolishing the Electoral College, because the Electoral College is to stop popular vote from determining who is the president and who isn't? And also, wouldn't I want to support the Democrats, certain ones like AOC, who want more regulations on the economy? Why would I support Trump then? I'm confused. But hey, shit doesn't ever make sense if you're a leftist. And I'm rambling. I should get on with the article more. But just a quick disclaimer. I used to be on the left. I was centre-left before. I've been a progressive before. I've been a Marxist. I've been an anarcho-communist. I've been an anarcho-syndicalist, I've been a state capitalist, I've been a state socialist, I've been on all different kinds of the left, you know? I've read works by Lenin, I've read Marx's work, I liked to listen to Noam Chomsky and read some of his works. You know, I understand a lot about the left, you know, and when I was a leftist, right, these modern day leftists would accuse me of being a fascist or alt-right. And I agreed with them on like 80% of the issues. Except, you know, I was on Facebook pages and, you know, these certain people would dox someone, right? They'd say, this is a Nazi, go to their house and beat them up. And I'd comment like, hey, you know, maybe that's not a good idea, you know? I mean, isn't violence a bad thing? Oh, you Nazi, defending Nazis. And the definition of Nazis is quite ironic because Nazis are supposed to be far right, but I mean, okay. You know, I've already discussed fascism before and how it's left-wing because it supports high economic regulation, right? The government stepping in and taking control. By your standards, Lenin should be right-wing then. I mean, like, look, literally Lenin threw gay people in gulags. Do you think he was very socially left-wing? No, right? Well, you consider Lenin and Trotsky and all these people leftists, right? I mean, Marx, he supported the proletariat having firearms, you know? Is Marx all of a sudden right-wing? Maybe by the modern left standards, but, you know, so I don't see how you can say the Nazis were, in fact, right-wing. Also, keep in mind, the Nazis actually disarmed the Jews. They started taking firearms away from the Jews first, then from the rest of the population. Don't leftists support taking firearms away and then say, well, look, he's a nationalist. Hitler was a nationalist. No, he wasn't. Alright, so let me get this straight. Okay, so if the idea of nationalism is preservation of the nation, okay, how come Hitler started to decide he was going to invade other nations which didn't share the German culture, and nationalism is prefaced on protecting the preservation of the nation, which is basically the culture. He invaded other countries like Poland, like France, you know, the very distinct, you know, do the French speak, Germanic languages, or do they speak, fucking French? Say la fucking V, huh? Ooh, yeah. Anyway. So no, Hitler wasn't a fucking nationalist. Also, this notion that nationalism's right-wing. Alright, just go on Google, alright? Type in left-wing nationalist regimes. I'm sure you'll get a bunch of results, okay? I don't have a list of them on me right now because, you know, I just turned on the webcam, you know. That's why you heard me stumbling through the first 8 minutes of struggling to explain why the Electoral College was even instituted. But hey, you know, you're still here, so let's continue. Let's continue with this shit. The document is couched in incendiary language never before used by an American president. Trump accuses the Speaker of the House of Representatives of spiteful actions which display unfettered contempt for America's founding. So the Democrats, which are rambling about Trump misusing power despite not even saying what that is, because they're upset with the election results. Apparently, that's not spiteful. Okay, alright, you know, okay. You know, and when I was on the left, you know, during the 2016 election, you know, I was a Bernie bro. And I actually liked Trump, though, you know. Well, I thought he was favorable. I'll put him at that, you know. And when Hillary shafted Bernie, I was like, yeah, fuck Hillary, you know, I'm going to support Trump. And, you know, I never had the Trump derangement syndrome, you know. And there's stuff that Trump does, which is bullshit, but there's things that he does that are good. But this whole notion that it's a partisan attempt to change the election results. The charge they got him on was abuse of power. Abuse of power. What is that abuse of power exactly? I don't know. Didn't Nancy Pelosi accuse him of, what was it, money laundering or something? It wasn't that. It was something else. And then, when they were actually, pushing the impeachment proceeding through the House of Representatives, they didn't actually include it. And then when Nancy Pelosi was questioned on it, she did the politician thing of walking around answering the questions. So, I mean, okay. Anyway, he declares that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff cheated and lied and presents himself as a victim of Democrat conspiracy. Trump colluded with Russia. Was that not, Democrat conspiracy? Because, okay, what was his fucking name? Who was his name? The guy who was in charge of the FBI at the time. What? His name isn't coming into my fucking head, right? The Mueller report. Okay, there we go. Robert Mueller, right? He came out and he said basically there's no evidence that Trump actually colluded with Russia. The only evidence they actually found was private citizens in Russia buying adverts on Facebook that support Donald Trump. But they also did this for Bernie Sanders. So if you're going to argue that, hey, it's, there's, he colluded with Russia, you would then have to say Bernie Sanders is a Russian agent too. But hey, if you're neoliberal like Hillary Clinton, you'd probably actually believe that. But anyway, well, they're calling Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset, so I mean, hey, what's new, Scooby-Doo? That such language can be leveled at a congressional majority by a president is a testament to the breakdown of constitutional forms of rule in the United States. Yet there's a reason why the executive arm is separate from the fucking legislative in the first place. It's separation of powers so that they can fucking criticize each other. Holy shit, wow. I wonder why the US has a system not like Australia where the head of our country must be a part of the legislative. It just, I don't know, it's a coinky-dinky, is it not? Okay. Since his election, also, they haven't showed, by the way, his actual fascist supporters. Like, I haven't heard or talked to any fascist who actually likes Donald Trump. I've talked to fascists and they say he's a fucking sellout. No fascist likes Donald Trump. Since his election, Trump has systematically sought to destroy any legal and constitutional limits on his presidency. Okay. Expressed most directly in his appropriation of military funds for his border wall, in defiance of Congress by declaring a state of emergency. Okay, so currently you have women being raped and murdered on the way to the US border. Is that not a state of emergency? I mean, okay, like, let's say you're a Democrat, right? Let's say you're someone who reads this and go, aha, I agree with this. You're probably more inclined to the left. Okay. You probably would identify as feminist. You probably would. Alright, let's face it, right? You're a leftist, you stand up for minorities' rights, Is it not a state of emergency when men are taking advantage of women trying to supposedly get a better life by raping and murdering them on the trip to America? Is that not a state of emergency? You hear these feminists, they always say, oh my god, it's injustice in America, women don't make as much as men, right? They're saying this shit, but as soon as a woman is raped or murdered and it isn't in America, oh, who cares? Yeah, who cares? Shouldn't this be good? Like, alright, if there's a border wall, why would I try enter the fucking country illegally if there's a physical deterrent stopping me? Alright, if I'm a woman and I'm trying to enter illegally, I'm going to fly over, I'm going to book a plane ticket and I'm just going to whoosh them over, right? I'm not going to try and make that treacherous journey. I'm probably not going to get raped on the way there then. Isn't Trump stopping women from being raped? If you're on the left, I don't see how this is a problem. Isn't that a state of emergency? Do you not care about women getting raped? Anyway. And yeah, the Constitution has given him the power to do that. It went through the Ninth Circuit, and they declared it as legal. Wow, the judiciary. But Trump appointed, what's his name? Brett Kavanaugh. That's why. Dude, like, Brett Kavanaugh isn't even that far right wing. Like, there's this idea that, like, oh, Trump has stacked the courts with, like, far right. It's like, look. When Ginsburg eventually dies, right, he's probably going to appoint someone centre-left. Because if he was going to stack the court with really far right-wing people, he would not be re-elected. I can almost guarantee that, right? Even the moderates in the country, they'd be like, well, this is a fucking problem, right? The courts are stacked with all these far right-wing people. You know, abortion rights are going to go, also they said abortion rights were going to go under Brett Kavanaugh, but they fucking haven't. Well, unless you're in a certain state, that is. What one was it? Alabama? Yeah. By the way, I'm pro-abortion, keep in mind. I'm a libertarian. Did I mention that? Anyway. Continuing with this. Trump has used these funds to create concentration camps on the US-Mexico border. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Obama was the one who built those. Just saying, you know, and I'll pull up another tab on this website. Category, Trotsky. Yeah, I wanted to look at that. Obama. Let's look up Obama. Oh, very weird. There's nothing on Obama being a fascist in the search results on this website. But with Donald Trump, it's fascist this, fascist that. Ah. Very weird, you know, Obama can build these concentration camps. And, you know, it's fine, but Trump just enforces border laws that were passed under the Reagan administration, and he's apparently building concentration camps. Also, just a question. Does anyone remember the Jews running into the concentration camps? Like, do you remember, you know, Anne Frank, you know, rocking up to, you know, the corner of Germany and being like, hey, can you let me in? You know, I want to go on your concentration camp, right? It's very weird that these people that are trying to enter illegally know that they'll be chucked in these camps, but they do it anyway. Oh, it's very weird. Yeah, I don't remember the Jews doing that. Oh, yeah, okay. So, what, have these people been used for slave labor? Oh, no, they haven't. Oh, very weird. It's a very shit concentration camp, then. Yeah. And carry out family separations that human rights organizations have compared to torture. Okay. A few things with that. Do you want children in jail cells with a bunch of people that raped the women on the way to the border? Huh? Do you want them to? I think that would be a bit of a problem. Alright, so you're fucked either way. You throw kids in with the adults, and the leftists would go, they're not even treating children like children, oh my god. But then, you know, they go, alright, maybe having kids in with all these grown-ups isn't a fucking good idea, you know? And, oh no, they're separating families. Oh yeah, separating families, okay. And that human rights organizations have compared to torture. Okay. Which one exactly? What, the UN? I wouldn't trust shit the UN says. Didn't they appoint, Maduro? The guy in Venezuela? You know, the guy who, is overseeing, you know, forcing people to work in, farms because of the food shortages there, and, you know, he's quite plump, and he's getting his military to kill certain people, and refuses to hold democratic elections. That guy, he was appointed to the UN Human Rights Commission, I believe it was. Why would I even want to listen to the UN if they're going to appoint literal despots to their positions? I'm just presuming it's the UN because, hey, globalists, am I right? Maduro, just want to make sure it's fucking Maduro. Nicolas Maduro. Have compared to torture. Okay, name which one it is, by the way, and then we can have a discussion. Also, like, didn't the UN fail to stop a bunch of genocides? What was that? What's that on? Their name entered my head earlier today. UN genocides. Let's see if it comes up. List of genocides the UN failed. Failure in Africa. I think it was in Africa somewhere. Where was it? Certain, it was in my head earlier this week. I literally googled it and it fucking came up. But now I can't remember the name of the fucking genocide. Genocides in the 90s. Okay, let's see. Pardon my the Rwandan genocide. There we go. Did the UN do anything about them? Just do some research into the Rwandan genocide, and you'll know what I'm talking about. The UN didn't fucking stop that. They don't stop any fucking genocides. Fuck these human rights organizations, you know, they proclaim to want to protect people, but, you know, they don't stop people from being raped and murdered? Okay. Anyway, that's life. This is going for a while, this video. If you're still here, I love you. I don't love you. I was lying. He has repeatedly threatened to remain in power beyond constitutionally mandated term limits, and has indicated that he will not accept as legitimate an election that leads to his defeat. Can you quote when he threatened to remain in power beyond his constitutionally mandated term limits? I don't ever recall Trump saying that. I mean, hey, you know, if anyone can, please post it in the comments below. I'd love to read it. Trump has systematically cultivated a fascistic political base with repeated and deliberate overtures to white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Okay, I've literally talked to white supremacists. No white supremacist actually likes Trump. Do keep in mind that Obama deported more people than fucking Trump has. No, but Obama had 2 terms, right? Okay, there you go. Now that's a fair comment to make. But, I mean, I thought this guy was supposed to pander to white supremacists. You know, he doesn't do a very good job of deporting these people. Yeah, neo-Nazis. I mean, I've gone through why Nazis would not even support Trump before, based even on economics, right? But, hey, you know, supposedly neo-Nazis. I've been accused, by the way, of being alt-right, even though Richard Spencer's, like, left-wing, like, really fucking left-wing, keep in mind. The guy supports universal healthcare. He literally says, fuck capitalism, the government should implement socialism, and has talked about universal basic income before, and has rambled about how the foreign wars, interventionism in the Middle East is bullshit. I mean, if anyone else was saying that shit, you would say, they're a socialist. But when he says, alt-right. Anyway. He has sought to build up Praetorian Guard in the military. Sorry if I could not pronounce that correctly. Wasn't that a Roman squad used in the Roman Empire? Was it not? Let's look it up. Let's find things out. Yeah, it is. Was an elite unit of the Imperial Roman Army whose members served as personal bodyguards and intelligence for the Roman emperors. Yeah, okay. I don't remember Trump doing that, but I'll take your word for it. Let's go off what you're saying. You know, you've made a bunch of these claims and haven't actually backed any of them up with evidence, but, you know, just saying. The police and the border patrol, which are saturated with fascistic supporters. Okay. Sure thing. Is now using the Democrats' impeachment process as a means to rally his fascistic base into action with dangerous and unforeseeable consequences. Alright, name the consequences for me, please. And, you haven't yet explained to me how his supporters are fascists, wanting mild tax reform. Well, it's more than mild, actually. It's a decent amount of tax reform. Going to war with China in a trade war. And wanting a border makes you a fascist, supposedly. Okay. Okay. In portraying himself as the victim of a conspiracy, literally, the Russia situation was a literal conspiracy. Like, the fucking Mueller report proves that he's even innocent. I'll listen to the FBI when I want to, when it suits my own interests. I mean, fuck, the judge who actually rubber stamped the fucking, the Steele dossier, admitted in front of Congress. I actually didn't read it. I just saw what it said and I stamped it, and yeah, rubber stamped it, went to a FISA court. Literally, the judge fucking said he didn't even read the fucking report, which the whole Russia probe was prefaced on. This isn't a conspiracy? Okay. Alright. To subvert the Constitution, yeah, wanting to undo him being the president because the Electoral College exists. And rambling about how the Electoral College should go. Anyway, Trump is exploiting the fraudulent character of the Democrats' impeachment drive, which centers on factional differences within the state over foreign policy. Alright, I'm going to interpret that as, never mind, doesn't matter. I'm too tired. The most striking element of the impeachment, and what gives it the element of a palace coup, is its complete remoteness from and indifference to any demands of a popular character. Okay? I'm a bit lost here, but hey, whatever. While Trump is seeking to exploit the impeachment to rally a right-wing movement, well, if you're right-wing, you're more inclined to support Donald Trump anyway. So, okay, no shit. I'm fucking shocked. Wow, to rally a right-wing movement. Who would have fucking thought, man? The Democratic Party is fearful of and hostile to mobilizing mass popular opposition to Trump. Popular opposition to Trump. Wasn't the impeachment of Donald Trump less popular than his actual approval rating? Like, it was above 50% before, but now it's dropped to even below 45%, so... Okay. Anyway, this has created a situation in which, far from defending the Constitution, the Democrats have only facilitated the assault of democratic rights by Trump. Well, Trump hasn't actually assaulted democratic rights. Explain to me how exactly. Anyway. Trump's letter to Pelosi declares, "Your speakership and your party are held hostage by your most deranged and radical representatives of the far left. Each one of your members lives in fear of a socialist primary challenger. This is what is driving impeachment." Okay, do you not remember, I think it was 8 months ago, or was it 10, or a year ago, Nancy Pelosi was nearly removed as Speaker of the House by the AOCs of the party? Do you remember that? Just give it a Google search. Maybe Google has, wiped it clean. It's, clean as a fucking whistle. Anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty fucking accurate. Is it not? Literally, they fucking tried to remove her as the Speaker of the House. The Democrats in her own fucking party. Oh, my goodness. It's to try and fucking get them to shut the fuck up and to appease them. That's what it is, literally. Because they don't understand political strategy. Nancy Pelosi's probably smacking her head going, why are half the people in my party fucking idiots? Anyway. In other words, Trump portrays himself in a fascistic trope as the victim of a socialist plot. Well, kind of is it not? The letter seeks to brand opposition to the Trump administration as essentially criminal, as support for a coup and attack on the Constitution. Literally it is, because they're trying to undo the last election result. Because they didn't like that Hillary lost. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna go through the rest of it. I'll be here for a million years. I've read most of it. I will read the last paragraph, though, to summarize it. And here we go. The fascist in the White House constitutes an immense danger to democratic rights and must be forced from power. I mean, okay, it's funny that you say that, because wouldn't the only way to force him from power is if the citizens, like, use their firearms to, like, literally get him out of the White House? But, I mean, socialists don't, a lot of you guys want to take away guns. Anyway, how the fuck are you gonna get him out of the White House then? But anyway, but this urgent and historic task cannot be left in the hands of the Democrats. It can be achieved only through an independent mobilization of the working class in intricable opposition to all factions of the American financial oligarchy. Well, I mean, isn't Trump kind of going against the American financial oligarchy? Because, like, look at it. Okay. I am going to lower the business tax rates. Okay. So smaller businesses can actually compete against large firms, alright, which don't want competition. And if you look at the Democrats, they're getting all of the corporate money, right? I don't see Trump getting that money. He got it from donations and from his business. So, I mean, you know, like, literally, I mean, isn't the middle class earnings the highest it's ever been? And more people are actually entering the middle class. They have more money. They're working less low-wage jobs. You know, I'm actually supporting policies in which small businesses can actually stand a chance because they're not being crushed out by monopolies funded by multinational firms, you know, funding neoliberal policies that aren't good for the economy. Isn't he, like, crumbling the American financial oligarchy by providing individuals the ability to actually become entrepreneurs and employ people? And they have, like, more money than what they've had in the past 60 years, adjusted with inflation, and it's one of the lowest unemployment rates in, like, what was it, 50 years or some shit? How is that not going against the American financial oligarchy? Now, I actually think that Andre Demon isn't actually a socialist. I think that he is, he might be a neoconservative, he might be a libertarian, he might be, who knows, he could be anything. I honestly think that he wrote this fucking article so that someone will read it, you know, someone who is thinking, maybe I'll become a socialist, you know, and they're going through a few articles, and they read this shit, and they go, actually, this is stupid, maybe fuck socialism. I honestly think, like, the person who wrote this isn't actually a genuine socialist, because, like, even when I was a socialist, I would have read this and gone, oh. Now, this video has gone on for far too long. Fuck, nearly an hour. Well, see you later, alligator, in a while, crocodile.